use it as sort of a substitute for spinach. What was my favorite season of Absentia? I liked each one. I think that we told a really cool story in the end. It's, as far as this character is concerned, it's a character who rose up from being a victim and a survivor and eventually becomes, liberated and a liberator in a way. And I thought that was a really interesting arc to take for a female character, and maybe something that I haven't seen done in that way. I really loved working with our team. We have an amazing group of people that we worked with. We just did a Zoom call, all of us together, from past seasons and from this season, this last season. And I don't think that that's something, as Matt was saying, that's often available to you. So for me, it was a super gift to be able to work with all of those people. Hello, Germany. A new Spotify playlist? Yeah, sure. I'll try to muster something up for you guys. Something new that I've taken up over quarantine. Tisanes. I was talking a little bit about that, and you might be able to see a couple of those posts. Basically, it's a type of like herbal tea concoction. And I've been really enjoying making that for family and friends and sharing it with you guys because if your body is okay with it, it's a really nice way to keep yourself healthy and sometimes even balanced in the face of everything. Let me see if Paul's gotten back on, because I really do want to say hello to him. Ah, there you are. Add.
We've done it. Have we done it? Are we there?
We are there. Look
I'm
at you.
sorry. I've been trying for 15 minutes since 8:30 my time to get online. But I did fortunately catch the end of Matt's, and you were both saying such lovely things about me. I was very flattered. That's
sweet?
probably why I got so flustered and couldn't work out the technicalities of all this. Anyway, we're here.
Yes, you're so handsome. Look at you. Welcome
Oh,
back.
You're looking terrific, I have to say. You're looking. You were a little flustered the other night, coping with all those questions and answers. I mean, how you did that, I don't know. That was amazing.
Thank you very much. That's very kind. How is everything in England? Are you guys still on the coastal end? Yeah. Are you on the coastal end? Yeah.
But we're just easing up now. We go out to a beach restaurant.
Good.
Because it's in the open air, and we're going back to our place in France in a couple of weeks.
Good. Go and relax in there and have a great summer. Yeah.
It's going to be difficult because we have to leave the granddaughter behind.
Tell us about this. I didn't want to share that without your blessing. Yes, this is so good.
We're so besotted with her. She's so wonderful. They've been coming down to us since the lockdown eased. They've been coming down to us on alternate weekends.
Yeah.
They live in London, and because we're on the coast, there's very little coronavirus here during the whole pandemic.
Yeah, good.
So it's safer for them here, and safer for us here.
This is your first grandbaby.
Yeah.
What does it feel like?
Probably only, she's just, I can't tell you, she's just delightful. We're all in love with her.
Yeah? Oh, yeah. I love that.
I mean, apart from her being beautiful, obviously, because my daughter's beautiful, but and her grandmother's beautiful too, as you know.
Yeah.
But she's just so bright. I mean, at the moment, she was 2 weeks overdue and arrived just as the lockdown started, and we'd got an Airbnb to be near them in London, so we'd be there for the birth.
Yeah.
But she was 2 weeks late.
Yeah.
So we just stayed with her for the first week, and then we had to escape to our place on the coast, or else we'd have been stuck in London all the time.
Yeah.
So we're just starting to sort of get to know each other, but she's recognizing us, and we Zoom a lot. We Zoom every day with her.
Oh, good. So this is old hat for you then.
No, it's old hat for the baby. I still find it puzzling. But picking up the phones and watching what everyone's doing, you know. Amazing, just amazing. See the development of a baby who's sort of, I think because she was 2 weeks overdue, she's very mature and very fit and healthy, which thank God.
Yeah, exactly. Thank God.
Well, how are you?
Good, good. Thankfully, I'm knocking on wood.
You're
Good.
great.
We had my 4 of my nieces and nephews at the house. We had my parents, we had my aunt. So there was a huge pack of us for a little while all together, and it was amazing. Like, I'm used to that though, in a way, because I was saying earlier, I come from a big family. Yeah.
Was this in LA or in Europe?
In the Central Coast here in California. Yeah, and then we went very old world immediately. Like, when things got dodgy, we're like, okay, time to grow our own food. And
all right, yeah, we did that too.
Yeah?
It's crazy. We've got this small garden here. It's packed with tomatoes, which we're never going to pick because we're going to be in France. Cauliflowers we've got growing out of our ears. Cauliflowers. We'll never eat so many cauliflowers.
You'll have great friends if you say, hey, just stop by the house and pick some of that.
Pick a cauliflower. That's
right.
Yeah.
But it's been a great gift to be able to eat all of that good food, that homemade food.
And I hope nobody in your family has been affected.
Thankfully, no. But, we've been very, very, very careful because there are at-risk situations. And so we've probably been a little bit more diligent than one even needs to be, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. Yeah. Thank you for asking. Yeah. How is the art going? Your wife is an artist, and I know that last time we were working together, she was in the middle of moving into a gallery space and setting up.
Got a great studio down here on the coast. Strangely enough, the lockdown's been really good for her work.
Really?
She hasn't got to the studio very much because she's preferred to work from home. But all the social media stuff that she's involved with, because a lot of the galleries that she deals with have social media. They've all been following her, and she's even got a sort of mentor now in Australia.
Oh, good. Okay.
Turned out of the blue, she's fixed up with a big article for Sotheby's about her work.
Oh, good.
God, I should have all this at my fingertips to tell you exactly what it is. But Sotheby's have got an in-house magazine that they've just started printing now. Yeah. And they were looking for black artists. Yeah. They've got a special black artists issue after BLM.
Yeah.
And Maggie's the first artist mentioned, and her work shown in this magazine. So she's done terribly well out of all this.
Well, congratulations to her and continued success. Yeah. Do you want to, we chatted a little bit about the project that you and your wife were working on it's Uganda, isn't it?
Oh, in Uganda, yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to chat a little bit about that? Because I feel like the audience might be keen on it. Yeah.
Thank you for thinking of that. It's a charity that we've run for 11 years now. Well, we've stopped it at Christmas. We didn't stop. We retired.
Yeah.
I'm now the co-patron with Helen Mirren, and Maggie's running a separate part of the charity just dealing with girls' issues and women's issues in the village.
Yeah.
And we have 2 of our young trustees have taken over, and it's going well. It's still going well. It's called United Kingdom UK Friends of Healing Focus. UK Friends of Healing Focus will find it. Mm-hmm. And we just keep this school running. It's a new school that we built for HIV/AIDS orphans in this very small village in Uganda. We have 250 children, 50-50 girls and boys, 50-50 Christian Muslim, and it's going well. Uganda, because it's not the freest country in the world, has coped with the coronavirus epidemic wonderfully. They've hardly had any cases because the government were able to close everything immediately and stamp down on people moving around. What that has resulted in is a lot more hunger. And in areas like ours, which is very poor, that's been a problem. And as the schools have closed, we haven't been able to guard those children we would normally have guarded. And there are some really unpleasant stories about child prostitution where the children have been let let out so that the family can feed, you know. Not many, thank heavens, but it's happened, one or two.
Maybe you could tell the audience a little bit about the sort of foundations of how this project developed. And even though you're now in the position of patron, it's nice to know kind of what inspired this, because this is a huge undertaking and it has daily challenges, annual challenges. And I mean, you guys are dealing with moving parts all over the place regularly, from working with staff, finding the right staff, to just the realities of some of the children's lives over there.
Yeah, and it's very, very different from anything we know. What happened was in 2008, our daughter, who's now the mother of our granddaughter, back to that subject, was in Uganda working for her first human rights job after university. And she said, it's a great country, come out. We went up and had a holiday, and it was over Christmas time. We said, we're not going to send any presents to people back home. Is there a charity? She said, I'm working with this young woman who's looking after street children in her village, HIV/AIDS orphans. They were looking after she and her husband were looking after about 60 of them, and in various centres. On the plane back, we gave them a little money. And on the plane back, Maggie said, well, we have to do something. We have very nice friends who will help. Let's start something. So we sent them a bit more money during the next year and then went back to see what had happened. And where they were looking after 60 kids, suddenly they had a school for 250 HIV orphans there.
Wow.
And it's gone on from there. It's just been amazing. And it's all been done really through word of mouth. We haven't had any major funding.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew, but I was in the Power Rangers, the only Power Rangers. No, the first Power Rangers movie.
No.
Yeah. It went with 4.5 hours of prosthetic makeup. Anyway, that's beside the point. The point is that the Power Rangers are about the only sort of large organisation, and Helen Mirren, our patron, who really supported us. The rest has been friends, mainly actors. Acting companies that I've been in and actors I worked with, like you, who've all supported, you know. That's been wonderful.
Good. Well, everyone knows the site, and I think I can tweet about it later on just to give you guys some added signatures.
The short acronym is UKHF, and that will find it.
Okay, perfect. I'll write that down.
So now tell me what you're up to. You're doing this promotion now.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the new series yet. I've got to find time to sit down and watch it. But I must say I enjoyed this third series best of all of them. I really had a good time. And you were talking with Matt about the scenes on the farm. That was such fun.
He loves those scenes, and you are so beautiful. I remember as we were running through some of the footage, I said, man, that guy can hold a close-up like nobody. Like, you could just sit on your close-up forever, you know? And I'm talking specific about, you know, there were a couple of scenes, spoiler alert, with the wolf, those scenes, and it was all wordless communication, and it was stunning. And I have a feeling about what I got from that moment, and I know Matt has a feeling about what he got from that moment, and I don't even want to ask what you intended in that space. It's nice to chat with people and get so many different reads on a moment.
Well, it brings up something I wanted to talk to you about. I got very interested. You may remember, although you weren't particularly involved with shooting that scene, that we had several versions of the script. They didn't know how sort of metaphysical they wanted to go.
Yeah.
So we had some where we didn't refer to the wolf having any other sort of life.
Yeah.
And that tied, and I loved the idea of the sort of spiritual side of it.
Yes.
And I hope that's the version that they've gone with and used. As I say, I haven't seen it. But this tied in with something I heard you talking about in this series, this season, which I hadn't heard before, about your character having a sort of, what's the word, a sort of almost a Slav goddess.
Oh, Jesus, yeah? Okay, tell me. What...
You know, not goddess isn't the right word, but it's something that some of the members of the crew were saying how you represented Slav womanhood so strongly.
Oh, the crew felt that way for sure.
Yeah. Oh, but in the most flattering way. It wasn't,
I know, it's sweet, yes.
No. But there was something you felt about the story too, that you were portraying this woman as representative somehow.
Yeah. You know, what it comes down to in a way, I mean, and that's encapsulated in that line that I love from her. There's a line from last season that I love from her where she's helping a woman she's being victimized by a partner or somebody, and my character helps her by handing her a knife in the bathroom, right? Something to help her defend herself in that situation, right?
Yep.
And she says, don't let them write your history for you. And I thought that was very, very clear. It was a clear theme for that season for me, last season, for the character as well. And I think this season she has a line where she says, sometimes it's about valuing human life. And ultimately, I think that this 3-season trajectory, for me, is a story about people, many people who have been abused and compromised for commerce. And it's somehow okay in someone's mind, in some spectrum. And yet we see the people that were abused and were compromised rise up from underneath and have dominion finally over their own lives. And eventually that energy Emily uses in order to serve others as well in that same position. There's a capacity to identify with other people in that very same position. And so in that way, there is like a rising phoenix sort of quality in that character and I think in the story. And I like that overarching theme. I like that overarching symbolism. You know, we touch on that in a small way and yet not an insignificant way when we look at the relationship between her and her father. I always feel like he knows so much more than we were even able to touch on in a 3rd season. But one of the things that I think that these two characters are capable of, nobody else would have been able to raise her except for him, because he has seen the worst in humanity. And he was the only person who could have taken a kid who was an orphan, who was abused early on in life, and offered her safety and also offered an avenue through which she could express this volcanic energy. And that avenue was a space within which it would become an engine for forward motion and not a destructive force, right? And that's a familiarity that the two of them have. You know, we touch on him talking a little bit about Vietnam, but, you know, in a way, his character and Cal's character's experiences in war are not so spread apart. You know, they've seen the worst in themselves and in others. And yet they've chosen to swim to light. Sorry.
Yes. Well, I was just going to say that he's also armed you.
Yeah.
Without that, literally, actually, trained you to in weapons.
Yeah.
Encouraged you into the FBI, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And there was, if you remember, back in series 1, I think there was a moment's hesitation where the writers weren't quite sure whether I was going to become another villain, or whether Warren was going to become another villain or not.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know if it was the way I was playing it or whether that was just the way the storyline went eventually. But I'm so glad that it turned out to be something that provided you with a base.
Yeah.
That it was evident where you came from.
Oh, yeah.
How solid and secure you were.
Yeah, and even though she's apparently adopted, there's an energy, a connective force between these two characters that I think goes beyond DNA. It's clear that she comes from him. It's clear that she has taken on all the teachings that he gave. Warren always said family above and beyond all, so even above
That's
law.
right. And he's a real father.
Yeah, big time.
No matter
Protective.
what.
Yeah. And I see the audience react to that, especially from first season, where he's combative, and he's calling, some of the other characters into account for things that he doesn't feel was correct, and it definitively is that protective, sort of front-footed character of a father. Yeah, that was another thing that was fun when I work with you. There's not a moment that you're indulging, and God willing, you're always working with characters or actors that are not indulgent. Sometimes we're forced to pay off a moment for a character, but your way, when you walk in on set, when you're delivering a scene, everybody better pretty much like keep up pace behind you, because you're racing. You're 200 miles a minute,
Really? I
Yeah.
don't feel that. I feel the reverse is true. You
Really?
always seem, you're all so with it. I'm just partly because the difficulty of coming in, my scenes are few and far between. So one always has the feeling that you're starting again. Actually, that wasn't true this season. That's what I loved about season 3. It was truer with the first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I was in awe of the rest of you, who seemed so up and running that every time I came in, I had to run hard to catch up and jump on the train.
Yeah. No, it was a gift, because there were moments where you could have made a pace of the scene, and you didn't. You kept it driving, and that was the pace that we needed, because every show is like a symphony, and we need different rhythms, and we need different beats. And your character is so front-footed and fearless, and the service that this character does. One of the things that we do this season is we initiate a child into adulthood. We initiate a child into manhood. And that's an interesting process. That's why I liked all of the spiritualism, the esoteric elements that we bled into the season.
So you see Warren training Patrick Flynn in the same way that he trained you.
Yes, yes. And you know where these people come from.
I loved all that stuff about the wolf. I was utterly convinced it was a real wolf, of course. I was slightly disappointed when I found out it wasn't.
It was a mix, yeah. There is a scene that, here's what's worth knowing, is that these are the gifts that come on set. You just have to be kind of open to it. What if, right? If we're too sort of like this, it limits the scope of what a story can be. And this is also the wonderful gift of having a number of creatives that were all focused on trying to tell the best story possible. So the scene with the wolf was something that I think you shot with Kasha, or was it with Greg? Kasha.
I think both of them. I remember Greg particularly being it, but I think Kasha was involved as well at some point. I'm a bit hazy about that.
I think she shot the wolf bit, but you were shooting a lot of the farm stuff with Greg.
Yeah.
Because that blended into his section. Now, there is a scene later in the show where my character, so many miles away, thousands of miles away, is chatting with a young boy whose refugee family is in distress because they're captured by the bad guys, the season's bad guys. And he asks for her help, and there's a moment of silence afterwards. And what happened on set was that a huge wind came through out of nowhere. I mean, it was still, and we were at a campfire, and this huge wind just whirled right through at the end of the scene. And I enjoyed it. And Greg came in and he said, I heard the wolf. And I was like, yeah, And it was a many thousand-mile connection between these two characters for me in some way, because whatever that totem animal is, that somehow is a very Byrne trait. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In my mind, in some level.
Yeah. Well, no, I felt very sad at the end of it when we parted on that snowy crossroads in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
But I did feel you were off on another journey, which is terrific.
Yeah.
There used to be an advert for children's Wellington boots.
Yeah, really? What?
In Britain, called Start Right. and it showed a little boy and a little girl, 4 or 5 years old, in these Wellington boots, holding hands. It was the back view, and they were walking up this long, long, long road going off to the horizon. And that's how I felt you were going off. Although Patrick was going in a separate direction, they would combine somewhere. They would coagulate.
Yeah. Oh, thank you
Somehow.
very much. That's cool.
It was sort of epic. It was like the end of a wonderful western, you know.
Yes.
It was like what's the one with Shane? It was like the end of Shane.
Yes. Yes.
The good guy goes off on the horse, and you know everything is going to be all right somewhere because he'll take care of it. That's you.
Will loved referencing cowboy films, so he'll be chuffed if he's listening. He'll be chuffed to hear that. And he absolutely...
We had a very early discussion. Do you remember in a room on set with Greg about this series, this season, when we all sort of said, "Oh, yes, this reminds me of a bit of this western and that western," and we all chipped in with it. There was a lot of really collaborative play between us all this season, which I thought was wonderful. That's down to Cashier and Greg, of course.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you particularly.
Yeah. The whole group, luckily. Yeah. I mean, and it really has to be that kind of culture in order to bring the best out of a concoction like this.
That's what's so great about filming when it works like that, isn't it? Where you just trust everybody around you. You know, we're all there for the same thing, and everybody's putting together. There are no egos or anything.
Yeah, it's magical.
I love it when it works like that. It's like clockwork. Because then you're liberated. You're so free to do whatever you want.
I know, and you know you've got plenty of support around you to get going on it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The audience loves your character. Will loves your character. I obviously love your character, but that's easy. Thank you for playing with us.
Well, thank you for having me. Listen, what have you been doing during this lockdown? You've made a garden? Did you start making sourdough bread? Did you do jigsaw puzzles?
Oh, tisane. Do you know what tisane is? I think I do a lot of those.
Do you? What do you make them from?
Oh, Lord, everything. I have Santolina, I have yarrow, I have a lot of herbs in an herb section. So I'll try, lemon verbena is fantastic. So, you know, just try to make mixtures. Why? Because, you know, for a bit it was about trying to keep everyone healthy. And because, you know what, there was this moment in time, I had 4 little ones in the house, they're ages 1 through 7. And God forbid one of them got sick and we had to race to the hospital, right? We were just like, okay, who's going to go? Then if we go, who's in quarantine after that, you know? And so you have these thoughts about how do you organize life when you're responsible for little children and adults as well, and keep everyone safe. So one of the things that I was focused on, aside from editing the show, was to try to keep them all their immunity boosted. And so, you know, I would teach them things like go and munch on some oregano leaves, you know, and I taught them what the oregano was, and things like that, and then that kind of like cascaded into learning a little bit more about that world, and especially as people kind of in my larger surrounding have had different health concerns during this process, I've been able to just learn more and be supportive from the side. And there's a lot of like gift in the natural world, and so it's been interesting.
Sure. Yeah. So noticeable, wasn't it? The lack of pollution, how pleasant that was. Everybody remarked on that.
Oh my God. Yeah. What a gift, right? Yeah. How about you? What have you been occupying? The world has been busy, and that's putting it lightly. And there's been so much to educate oneself on throughout this process, and to reflect on and to dive deeper with and in. And what have you been doing to keep yourself
sort of... Working a lot in the garden. I've never grown vegetables before. My father was a great vegetable grower, but I never have. I've always had flower gardens and shrubs and things. So that's been entirely new, finding out about vegetables. And it's been very enjoyable. I have enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I did find a writer was talking about this list of things people have done. And I found myself ticking off the list. I've started sourdough starters.
Oh, great.
yeah, great for once, but after I'd made 2 loaves, I thought, I'd rather go to the shop and buy one. This is much too much like half. I've now got a fridge full of sourdough starters, which if I don't feed them today or tomorrow, I'm going to have to throw away because you have to keep them alive.
It's so true. So
Maggie
true.
went out. Maggie, my wife, went out and bought some jigsaw puzzles right at the beginning, back in March or whatever it was.
Yes.
I did one. It was so complicated and sat on the floor. It was so big. As soon as that one had gone, I never picked up another one. I've been very lazy, and I've been drinking a lot of wine.
You've got beautiful taste for wine. It's a gift to walk around with you in restaurants in Bulgaria. My God, you really know wine.
Oh, there's some good wine in Bulgaria, isn't there? Well,
yeah.
You don't know. There is.
You do. You know. Yeah.
Oh, what fun we had. We did have fun, didn't we?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you so much for jumping on with
Great
me
to
today.
see you. I hope to see you
Likewise.
again soon. Do
Likewise. Thank you. And please say hi to Maggie, yeah?
I will do. Okay.
Thank you. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
It's true, the puzzle is beyond relatable. There you go, you guys. That's just a little bit from my fellow cast members who were amazing this season, as were so many of our crew on the ground and also in prep and post. I hope you guys enjoy the episodes. I was just surrounded by a lot of people who gave everything that they could to the project. And there you go. Okay, bye, you guys.